In our last two sessions, we discussed a letter from a man who was angry at his boss for lying to him about the terms of his employment. I suggested he look at his own choices rather than expecting his boss to change. Then we began looking at his choices. His first choice was whether he even wanted to stay working at a place where the boss was that dishonest. If not, I told him he was not stuck. He should leave right then. But changing the contract might have been an unusual thing for the boss. It might, for example, have been a reaction to a financial crunch or an emotional crisis on the boss's part. Now, back to the writer of the letter. So, if you decide to stay working for this man, do you have to accept the contract as he's offered it to you? Not necessarily. You have options. But now, we're to the second huge step in negotiating a contract. That's after the first one, where you decide to stay. And that's the decision that you're not going to act like a victim here. Now, I wasn't there during all this, but I choose to believe you completely, your whole story. Why not? If you were promised one thing in your initial conversations and contract, whether it was signed or not, and then you are given another, you were cheated. But you have to remember the law of choice. People get to make mistakes. They get to be stupid. And what I'm about to say is one of the great keys of life. Even though you were cheated, which means you were victimized, there is a huge difference between being victimized and feeling victimized or acting like a victim. People do stupid and inconsiderate things to us and to me every day. They cut us off in traffic. They promise to do things for us and then they don't do them. They promise not to do things to us, but then they do them anyway, again, and so on. Well, stuff happens. If we have no real love in our lives, which means we feel empty and afraid all the time, all those little things that people do to us or fail to do for us seem like a pretty big deal. If, on the other hand, we are already filled with what we need most, with real love, and if we remember that other people are just drowning most of the time and are not really doing things to us at all, if we remember that they're just doing their best to survive, then the little things they do just don't bother us as much. They really don't. Then we can stop being offended all the time and can start making much smarter choices about how we respond to them. In this case, for example, if you choose to be offended about your boss's decision, you'll march in there and you'll start pointing out how he cheated you, and your discussion will be over before it begins. He'll start defending himself, and you'll have a fight on your hands instantly, not a negotiation. You'd be better off not speaking. So, your first move would be wise to be that you're not going to act like a victim. You're not going to be angry. You're going to go in there and talk about what you want in return for your staying there in that position. Clear? Now, how are you going to get to the place where you don't feel like a victim? That's no small accomplishment. We'll talk about that in our next session.